Well, good morning to you. I'm Kemeni Amano. I'm your sitting host today. It's time for big issues here on New Day. But first, let's get cash out of the way. So if you're on Telecel or MTN, you should dial *439# for a chance to cash out on the program today. Ensure that when you dial *439#, you choose the option number 2 for TV3, and then you cash out. So we've got quite a number of conversations on the ground today, but first let me introduce my panelists. To my immediate right is Kimfad Osman. He's a member of the NPP's National Communications team. And then to his left is Eric Edem Agbana. He's NDC parliamentary candidate for Ketu North. Pretty shortly, we'll be joined by Solomon Owusu, who's senior communications for the Movement for Change. But gentlemen, you're welcome to the big issue.
Thank you.
Indeed. I want to start with issues that have come up in the last, 6 hours or so. We know that Asamoah Gyan has decided that he will no longer be part of your campaign team. Fad, I'm sure you're very disappointed by that.
Well, good morning once again to you and to my brother here and to our viewers this morning. I just saw the news. I don't know the reasons for his decisions. I believe certainly has some reasons, and within some few days or within the coming days, we'll get to know why.
He says he made a mistake because he thinks that he should be apolitical for the Ghanaian youth.
The political space. Before that, we were discussing the political space is a bit hostile. So if you're not too careful and you jump in and you're not prepared for it, you might want to pull out. So I think maybe he was not well prepared.
You think that's what's happening?
Maybe, because we've seen the backlash after his endorsement and he joining us on campaign platform. We've seen some backlash and people calling him names. I believe probably. Well, someone that I know is somebody with a very thick skin. Looking at his blaster days, missing penalties and all those he had to go through.
His skin wasn't thick at this time.
I don't know.
For MPP politics.
I don't know. Not for MPP politics, for the Ghanaian politics. So we wish him well. It was nice working with him. I had opportunity to join him, I think, at the Ophir walk in Honorable Samuel Oku's constituency, and his engagement with party people was very beautiful. So we wish him well. We wish he was still with us, but for whatever reasons, we cannot force him to be part of politics. If he have come to realize that it was a mistake for him to join the political space, I think it's only fair for him for us to allow him to go.
I see, Adam, this one has nothing to do with your party, but it's only fair that you take a dig at it.
Well, let me say good morning to you, my colleague panelists, and to the viewers, especially the good people of Ketu North. And let me use your platform to say a very big thank you to my people for escorting me to file successfully yesterday. It was massive. In fact, it was a total shutdown in Georgia yesterday, an indication that our target of recording 95% victory for John Dramani Mahama and myself, we will be able to achieve it. We are working hard, and until we defeat the NPP with over 95% in Ketu North, we are resting not. Asamoah Gyan, well, I'm a football person. As a football administrator and an enthusiast, I have followed many of the Black Stars players, including Asamoah Gyan. And when he decided to join the NPP's campaign team, it did not come as a surprise to some of us, because even in the days when he was playing, it was easy for some of us to detect where they belong politically. They are individuals, they are Ghanaians. They have the right to belong to any political party of their choice.
Really? It was easy, even while he was playing?
Yeah.
I couldn't have guessed that.
That's what I'm saying, that some of us, same way we can do for some media persons who will appear objective or neutral, but when you get close, you should be able to tell where they belong. So Asamoah Gyan has always been NPP. The reason why he is running away this time is because after joining Dr. Baumia's campaign, he has realized that it is never going to end well.
Those are not the reasons he gave in the statement.
But I'm telling you, he won't give it. But the truth is that Asamoah Gyan knows that he's part of a very fruitless venture. This Dr. Bawumia campaign is never going to...
That's not what he said.
No.
That's not what he said.
What reason did he give? At what point did Asamoah Gyan realize that?
He's come to the realization that he's for all the youth of this country.
So it is... Let me tell you something. Look, no, this is not politics. But if being a member of Dr. Bawumia's campaign is something that will inure to the benefit of the young people, then he should be there rather and push for the interest of the youth. So jumping out means
that's also
that
one way of
their
looking
ideals, their philosophies, the principles on which they are building their campaign is not in the interest of the Ghanaian youth. So now he says that I'm pulling out and to come and fight for the youth. It means that you cannot be there and fight for the youth. You cannot be there and
that's not what he said.
No,
and I've made clear what he said. But let's introduce Solomon at this point to join the conversation. Solomon Owusu is senior comms for Movement for Change. Solomon, you're late, but you're welcome.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you and my co-panelist. Asamoah Gyan, for me, I was very surprised when he decided to join the campaign team, because if you look at his trajectory, he has been a musician, a footballer. But politics, what do you intend to do with politics? And I got a sense that he will at a point leave the scene when they had the Ekropon walk. Because in the Ekropon walk, he is supposed to be in charge of the youth manifesto or subcommittee of youth and sports. And when he was given the microphone to speak, he was rather telling the people that he asked the vice president what plans he had for the youth. I thought he was going to suggest to the vice president. So clearly, he had no clue as to what he was doing in there. And this kind of populism, people must understand that politics is a different terrain. Concentrate on where you have your strength. You can contribute. It doesn't necessarily have to be by joining the political party. Now that you have soiled yourself, how do you go back to the people and tell them that you are not MPP?
Well, he's come back to tell us. So we'll leave it at that and then move on to our core topics for the day. Today on our table, we have the Walewale rerun primary and how it ended. We know that Lariba Zuwera has withdrawn from the race, the incumbent member of parliament for Dr. Kabiru Mahama to be the candidate. Obviously, that's where we are headed. And Fad, I think I'm going to start with you on this one. It would appear that the party failed to nip the problem in the bud when it began in June, and then today this is where we are. Why?
Oh, thank you very much. I believe what happened in Walewale is a situation we are very much concerned. That's the hometown of our candidate, the leader of our party. So it's an area we have much interest and concerns over. And as democratic processes, it happened early this year. The contest happened early this year. That was around January this year, where Dr. Kabiru and the incumbent had a contest. It went to court and a whole lot of issues came out of
Indeed.
it. The court ordered a rerun, which happened Monday. And from indications and from the information we gathered after the sorting, was that some individuals came in and had to hijack the process. And as a result of that, the police had to come in, take the ballot boxes to the police station to see if there could be any count of the ballots. And the EC coming out to say that with the tempting of people coming in and its consequences, it will be only fair to have another contest again, or another elections again. And you know, we have only till Friday for filing of our parliamentary. And so it is important that some decisions be taken. And I'm told this morning that our National Executive Council will be meeting this morning to have some decisions on this.
But Hajia Lariba has already
Interestingly,
taken
and last night, the information came out that she has decided to pull out. But that does not make Dr. the candidate.
But that's where we could be headed.
That's the point. So,
and I want you to explain that. But, I mean, before then, there are those who are saying that, listen, for the incumbent member of parliament to decide to withdraw, then it means that some pressures have come from within the high echelons of the party. Why did you pressure the woman to step out?
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. It's a contest. You see, elections, when you're going for elections, it's important that you understand and study what is happening. To an extent, you can even tell on the day of elections that, well, I've campaigned, I've done everything. But from what is happening this morning, it's not going to end well for me. Sometimes it's possible for you to know.
The same person who went to court.
Sometimes it's possible. See, on the day of sorting, if you hear the stories so far, they were almost done with, I think, 500 and something votes sorted. And you could tell who is winning the elections. So it is not out of
on
place.
The day of sorting?
Sorting, on Monday.
You mean for this rerun?
On Monday.
So you mean Lariba was losing?
I am not saying this.
But then what are you saying?
But then the concerns were that from the sorted ballot so far, people could easily tell who was winning the elections. So I believe maybe out of that, she felt it's only fair for the interest of the party. Let me pull out. Because this thing what happened January this year, We went to court, a rerun happened Monday, and still we couldn't come to a conclusion. So I think maybe she, being the incumbent, felt that 4 years is enough for me. So what is so big deal if I want to pull out at this point? I don't think anybody will have to pressure her. She's big. She's a member of parliament. So I don't think anybody in our party will want to put some pressure on her, no. In the interest of the party, she decided to pull out and thanked her people for giving them the opportunity to serve them for 4 years. Very beautiful. So I think we should accept it in that order and allow the processes to continue, because we have to, from today to Friday, to file a candidate for Walewale. If not, we are out of the contest in Walewale parliamentary elections.
I see.
So it is important this morning our party will have a meeting. A decision will be made on who to lead us in Walewale. As I speak, Dr. Kebi is not a candidate yet.
But he's the only,
That's the point. So the decision will be
nominee or aspirant
as
at this
it stands now.
Yeah.
So I believe by the close of today, a decision will be made at the party's highest office. And we will know where the way forward from there. Probably tomorrow we'll be able to file the parliamentary candidate for Walewale.
I see.
So,
Solomon, a quick bite on that, and then we'll move on to Adam.
Yes, it's unfortunate how the party, my former party, has decided to sink this low. Walewale, that hitherto was a very peaceful constituency, is becoming a scene that nobody could imagine. You remember during the internal primaries of the MPP, the super delegates, that was a constituency where an agent for Mr. Lanchamantin, Ali Zakaria, was beaten to pulp. He was mercilessly butchered. At that time, when we told the party that they had to be very cautious and careful with that constituency, they thought we were overreacting. A day to this whole rerun, the same incident happened. Blood all over. Now we are told that after elections and during sorting, one gentleman by the name Kamara Bawa, who happens to be the former chairman of Yagaba Kabori, was bold enough, in spite of the presence of more than 100 police personnel, fully armed, was able to go and snatch ballot and chew ballot papers. As we speak, we are told that he is behind bars, but I can assure you that that will not be the situation. So me, I'm not even interested in whether or not Laraba has withdrawn. I mean, it's obvious that I listened to her that she was not present. It's not true. What were you doing in court? What were you doing in the rerun? And mind you, as we speak, it has not been confirmed that she lost.
Yeah.
Pressures have come from somewhere, and she has realized that, hey, I will be mentioned as the name or as the person that took our party or led to our defeat in that constituency. So let me back up and allow Kabiru to go. But either way, I am not interested who is going to win over there. I wish the best candidate to win. At the end of the day, it is about the violent nature and also the ability of Kamara Bawa to go and snatch ballot. And that must give you an indication as to the kind of strategy the New Patriotic Party intends to adopt in election 2024.
How so?
But he has, it's a pilot. They are it's a pilot. Other than that, how was Kamara able to boldly enough penetrate into the police force? Now the EC is telling you that it doesn't want to have anything to do with the elections anymore. But they organize the elections.
They didn't say they don't want to have anything to do.
They have
advised.
Which advice?
What to do.
There was an electoral officer there who is saying, look, NPP, come and take your matter. I'm not interested.
Well, of course, at that point when the violence broke out,
he said he doesn't want to have anything to do with the elections.
But what I'm saying is that the National Office of the Electoral Commission have advised on how to proceed post the inconclusive election. So it is not true that they have said that they won't touch the election.
What are they talking about? They ran an election. They organized an election. The election was supervised by the Electoral Commission. That was the case. As we speak, they have not been able to determine who won the elections. Now the Electoral Commission has referred the matter to the NPP to take a decision on it. So what they are telling you is that they're no more interested in the matter.
That's your interpretation of that.
But that is what it is. So what I'm saying is that this must give every Ghanaian a cause to worry. That an electoral commission that was sent to a place to organize the election has run away, number one. Number two, there is this chap called Kamara Bawa that we all know was able to go and snag ballot. And as we speak, we are yet to hear whether he's been prosecuted and taken to court. What will happen during election 2024?
We know one person has been arrested in all of this, and so, but Fad, at some point you have to tell us what it is with the NPP and snatching of ballot paper, because we saw it in Parliament as well. But Adam, go ahead.
Camille, let me say good morning to the incoming member of Parliament for Walewale, the Honorable Abubakar Abdallah. We in the NDC, after a number of surveys conducted, are convinced that our candidates will win the parliamentary elections and President Mahama will win the Walewale constituency in these 2024 elections. And so we did not really bother much what was happening in the camp of the NPP in Walewale, because regardless of who they present, even if they present Dr. Bawumia himself as the parliamentary candidates of the NPP in Walewale, I can assure you that Honorable Abubakar Abdallah is in pole position to win the constituency. But the withdrawal of the MP brings a number of issues to the table. Number one, Walewale is the home constituency of the presidential candidate of the NPP, the vice president of this republic. And let it be on record that he has a relationship, a familial, or he is related, directly related to the Honorable Member of Parliament.
Yes.
So they are related. So for his inability to show leadership,
Yes.
for his inability to resolve
This
very simple issues surrounding the primaries that they conducted almost 6 or 7 months ago, should tell us something about the leadership credentials of the vice president, because that is his home constituency. And he allowed all these issues to persist for all this while. Number two, the fact that she has withdrawn must not let us forget about the chaos and the violence that marred the elections on Sunday. And you see, we in the NDC have always complained about the violent nature of the NPP. And that is why our national chairman keeps saying that if you are looking for peace in the 2024 elections, you must be ready as a stakeholder to ensure that there is justice. So there was violence on Saturday, Sunday. There was shooting by 9 a.m. where those who shot into the crowd or shot into the air got their weapons from. Till today, the police has not even released a statement about it. As we speak, nobody has been arrested and prosecuted for these shootings. There's also an incident of ballot snatching. That is their character. Almost every election of the NPP is marred by violence and snatching of ballots. So they can do it internally. We saw what happened in Yendi. And what is happening in Walewale, the home constituency of the vice president, speaks volumes about his leadership credentials. Because as the flag bearer and somebody who is even related to the member of parliament, he should have been able to bring the situation under control. Again, ask yourself, what were the charges or what issues pushed Hajia to court? She alleged that there was fraud in the register that was used. And so even though she lost the elections to Kabiru, who even works in the vice president's office, and so for the vice president's inability to resolve the issue, it speaks volumes, because Kabiru works in his office as one of his aides, and you are directly related to the MP. She is your sister, direct sister, and he was unable to do anything about this problem. And you in the MPP would think that you can present this man as a credible leader. Now, back to the issue of the register, and I'm sure we'll be discussing the issue or the issues that the NDC is raising about the audit. Because the only reason why Hajia went to court is that she alleged fraud in the register. And so even though she lost the initial or the first election, she went to court and got the court to order for a rerun. And that is where we are today. That MPP believes that when you have issues with the register, you must speak about it because they are serious issues. And so when we get to the discussion on the register...
But Adam, I'm failing
we'll
to see how you are linking the NPP's register to your concerns, your party's concerns about the national register.
Yeah, because the credibility of an election depends on the processes. You know, election is not an event. And so if you prepare a register for elections and the register is fraudulent, such that as we speak today, you, Kemini, you can walk to your polling station and to your surprise, your name is not in the register because somebody at the Electoral Commission has decided to manipulate by transferring you to my constituency. And so you walk to your polling station at Ayaso West, your name is not in the register, and you are informed that you have been transferred to Ketu North. And so that's...
When we get there, we would have a deeper conversation
it's a very important issue that we must talk about.
Absolutely.
So let me conclude that the Walewale issues in the NPP, we are not concerned. But the Vice President's failure to show leadership in this issue speaks volumes about him. But we are confident that Abubakar Abdallah and the NDC in Walewale will do everything possible to win the seat for us in this election.
Fad, my guess is that you do not see how Edem and Solomon have both connected this whole issue and put it at the doorstep of the Vice President.
It's very interesting why I find Edem makes those conclusions. This is an elections. The Vice President has no role to play in these processes. So how do you tell me that the Vice President, as the leader of the party, coming from the area, has failed in this regard? It's so interesting. But I don't blame him. This is one of the strategies. Anything that happens in this country, let's find a way to smuggle in the name of the Vice President and blame him.
I'm not sure the concern
and this is the point. It's an elections, right? And every constituency in this country had its fair share of the elections, right? So if we get to Walewale and there are problems, you tell me that the Vice President should come in, call the incumbent, call the Dr. KB, and tell him that no, this is my hometown. So please pull out from the contest. Is that democracy? Is that what Edem is trying to preach this morning?
I don't think so that's what the point they have made. The point they have made is the violence that came along with the elections. Don't ask me what was the violence. You know what happened.
That's the hypocrisy in the discussions this morning. I have witnessed. Edem sits here and talks about violence in MPP. Edem, wow, that's very interesting. Because we know very well, people. We know very well. We know on record. The former President Muhammad told us in this country that nobody beats them when it comes to violence. I never said this.
That's not what he
said. When?
Former President Muhammad said this statement.
That's not what he said. He never said
when was that?
He never said that.
No,
he never said that.
Hang on.
He never said that.
Gentlemen, hang on. I want you to remind us. When did he say that? When and where?
I cannot give you the date exactly.
But where did he say
please, Edem, are you uncomfortable now?
No.
Are you uncomfortable?
Edem, hold on.
I was quietly watching you.
Okay, so you back
everywhere.
Okay, no problem.
What President Muhammad said.
Where were those comments made?
When it comes to violence, nobody beats them when it comes to with the NDC. This were his words. And we also know on record that the NDC, not long ago, their national elections, we witnessed the kind of violence that came along with it. Where we had even members of the NDC being listed as wanted by the Ghana Police Service. I know some of these members who were listed as at that time. We saw the videos.
This year?
Last year. The NDC national elections. The General Secretary and the... What's the name of... Well, I hope you know that man.
Who is that? Shh. No, you have to say a name. I don't...
General Mosquito. Right? The kind of violence that accompanied their internal elections. We also know, as if you go to the Hafu region, Collins Dauda's younger brother, Naba, we know the kind of violence he mounted onto our people in those areas. So if this morning, Edem's conveniently.
Edem, hang on, you have your time to react. I think
to throw all
you have your time to react.
I'm from the Bunu region, and I've witnessed the violence being mounted on us in the Bunu region. So Edem, this morning, in as much as we do condemn what happened on Monday, we do condemn it. Edem should not try and draw in the Vice President just because he wants to score some political points this morning. And to make him look like he's the devil in the constituency. And he's the one causing... Look at something. He said the incumbent is his sister. Dr. KB is his secretary or the staff.
Are those not true?
That's a fact. So in this situation, the only thing he has to do is he has to allow the democratic processes to take its effect. And that's what he did. So beyond that, I find it very difficult to hear Adam this morning, and my brother here, you see, I don't blame my brother because he was part of us. Because he has now parted ways, he always find it very convenient to attack his former family.
What is this?
I don't have any problem.
No, why do you see that as an attack? I mean, he's spoken his opinion on the happenings.
He managed to bring in the presidential primaries with Alan and Dr. Bawumia. That's where he started his premises from. And along the way, he tried to condemn the MP.
No, but Fad, you can't tell him how he should analyze the issue.
Oh, I don't have any problem with that.
Right. I'm glad you don't have a problem. So let me come in at this point,
so
right? Just two things.
Let me end on this. You see, what happened was very unfortunate. We've condemned it. Our General Secretary yesterday made a statement that those involved will be prosecuted. We're not going to give them any cover, that because it's an internal issues, let's cover them from prosecution. No. They are, I believe, 2 or 3 people, as we speak, as currently, are under arrest as we speak. And the processes will take its effect. So please, we should allow it. And we should not try and bring in all these pedestrian issues of Dr. Bawumia being the cause and the problem and leadership.
No, I don't think anybody has said
that's what he did. That's what he did.
But yes, my follow-up to all that you have said, right? The first one being, it is only leadership norm that when crises come around elections, while you have a flag bearer, we expect the flag bearer to take a leadership role and intervene, not in the elections, but in the violence that could come around the elections. That is what the people say, and not just Edem and Solomon, that the vice president failed to do. Reason why today 1 person has been arrested, and you have just updated us that 3 people have been arrested. That is the concern. Do you see that as well?
I will say this. This was purely a democratic process. The first phase of the elections happened in January this year. The incumbent felt peeved. She went to court. And within this process, I don't expect the vice president as the leader to come in. And the court gave a ruling.
I don't think you're getting
I'm ending on Monday. The court gave a ruling. And the ruling was that let's have a rerun, which happened on Monday. And unfortunately, it didn't end well.
The violence didn't begin on Monday. It didn't start or end on Monday. It began with the original primary in that constituency. What did your leader, the flag bearer, the vice president, do about this in his home turf, especially?
It was important, and I think he has played a very neutral role in this particular instance. Kabiru is his secretary or his advisor, technical advisor, and the incumbent is a sister. So the best he could have done was to stay away. Please allow the democratic process to take its effect. The lady went to court, incumbent went to court, a ruling was made, a rerun was asked to take effect on Monday. It happened, unfortunately. It ended.
What happened?
It didn't end well. And today, we've seen a statement from the incumbent saying that I'm pulling out of this contest. We should accept it and give her the benefit of doubt. And one thing she stated in the letter was that she thanks her people for giving her the 4-year mandate, which is enough for her. So if overnight she has sat back and to understand that 4 years is enough for me, I want to pull out. What's the big deal here?
I see.
We should not blame others.
So on the other point, just before you come in, Solomon, the other point is you seem to go through the equalization route anytime somebody questions, why there's so much violence around Walewale. Why? You forget that you were brought into office for a change.
I am not equalizing it in a direction of change or not changing, but the point is that moral right is very important. Before you condemn others, you first have to check yourself. What moral right do I have in condemning you? So Adam lacks the moral right when it comes to violence to condemn others. That's what I'm trying to say. So I was only trying to remind him, if probably he had forgotten, that in this country, we have the history and have the records. We have 2008.
So the Ghanaian people then have the right to question the violence that is associated with this election.
We are not. We've condemned.
No, let's just say it's not. Adam does not have the moral right. The Ghanaian people do.
You see, we condemn it. We've condemned it. We don't wish it happens again. We are trying to have a free and fair elections. It's important. And I've said this before. We've gone through the opaque ballot box days. We've gone through where people will be intimidated with arms and guns. In my constituency, there are areas you can't even go on election day as an MPP member. We've gone through all those days. We are moving towards a democracy where, if Adam contesting today in these elections, he can sit back in his home and say that, yes, I trust the process. And whatever happens at the end of the day, I can accept the results. We should start looking into the future. Then what we have to blame ourselves. You see, it's unfair and very unfortunate we have to blame ourselves the same way. But the point is that people have to at least understand that you need to have some certain moral grounds before you can condemn others. But if you lack it, please let them. Let's take our time when we are condemning others. That's all I'm trying to say. You get the point. So that's all.
And then quickly,
I think that the Fad, if you want us to get into a discussion on violence,
right after him.
If you want us to get into a discussion on violence, you in the NPP cannot, and do not even have the moral right to start. We're talking about Walewale.
Thank you.
And I am telling you that my focus, I will respond to him, but my focus is that the vice president has failed to show leadership in managing an internal affairs in his own constituency. And that is a serious issue. Are you aware, and I didn't want to get into all of this, are you aware that the vice president and his assigns tried to impress on Kabiru to withdraw from the contest even before January 2024, for which reason he was sacked from the vice president's office? Are you aware? When was the last time Kabiru was seen working from the vice president's office? Simply because somebody feels that I am the presidential candidate and the vice president. My system must not be contested. And so if you are even talking about issue of democratic principles or allowing democracy to work, we don't even go there. Because Dr. Bawumia sacked Kabiru from his office because Kabiru decided to represent his people or to go into parliament and contest against Dr. Bawumia's sister. Number two, when Hajia went to court, the party released the state. Initially, the party, which was the second defendant, decided to take her on for not exhausting the internal processes of the party before proceeding to court. Why? Which higher authority spoke before the party decided not to embark on that action again? It is certainly the vice president and his office. Number three, Hajia did not withdraw because she wanted to give way to peace. As we speak today is 11th September, Wednesday. We are expected to file by 13th, which is Friday. And why did the elections become inconclusive? It is because they snatched a ballot box. And so for the party to reorganize another election, they realized it was practically impossible. So finally, whichever higher authority may have intervened now to get the same higher authority that supported her throughout from January till today has decided that let's look at the fact that we may not even get a candidate at all. And in your comment, you said that even with her withdrawal, it means Kabiru, it does not mean that Kabiru is the candidate. Because I didn't want to get into it. As we speak, even with her withdrawal, there are people close to the vice president who are still against Kabiru, such that some are even lobbying for the former MP to be made a compromise candidate. You see, there are issues, and you know better. But like I said, I didn't want to get...
No, hang on. You have your
fact. I didn't want to get into the issues because, for me, as an NDC member, we are happy that our candidate, Honorable Abubakar Abdallah, is working so hard, and he will win the elections. He will win the seat for us. But let's not try and make it look as if Vice President is Democrat. In fact, it is failure of leadership on his side, and that is why the issue has persisted to this level.
Solomon, you have your time.
So clearly, if you look at what has happened in Walewale, it's two issues that you can make out of it. First of all, the lack of the ability of the vice president to win the presidency seems to be the conclusion of people around him. You see, Kabiru as an economic advisor in his office would have been better off as an economic advisor at the office of the president. But knowing very well that the vice president has no capacity to win this election, he quickly decided to find a way of making himself employable after his exit. So
you know that for sure.
Absolutely. Why would you be an economic advisor at the office of the vice president, and by extension, when he becomes the president, you will still be an economic advisor at the office of the president?
Well, people have dreams.
No, this dream is...
And, you know, places they want to get to.
Your dream must not be smaller than your previous dream. It must always be higher. You understand? You aspire to go higher than your previous position. You are with the person as a vice president. He now wants to be the president. If you so believe in his ability to win, why would you rush to go to parliament? Same can be said of the spokesperson, Gideon Bwako. He quickly has also gone to pick form that he wants to go to parliament. A lot of people around the vice president wants to go to parliament because they know, they know that the vice president will not get above 13%. I keep telling you this.
13% where?
13%, 13%.
In the national election?
National election, I'm talking.
Oh, that's not possible.
No,
You exaggerate.
But what is the team of their campaign? Is their campaign team not it is possible? So what are you telling me today that it's not possible?
No, I'm saying that it's impossible to come to the
How is it impossible when his campaign team is possible? Family, I can't understand.
I'm saying that. I mean, let's not mislead our viewers.
No,
How can you tell me? No poll so far has shown.
No. If the polls are things to go by, then we must not go into the election. Then let's settle on the polls and say that this man has won. We are all going to start from point zero. Unless you want to tell me that you have the figures, the electoral figures for election 2024. You
do realize that this is the party that scored over 6 million in the last elections. You cannot tell me that they would only score 13% of the over 15 million voter roll. That's impossible.
You see,
and an exaggeration on your point. So I'll have you make your point on Walewale. Let's leave the numbers the way they are.
So the point still remains. But the issue is that the vice president has to be worried. Has to be worried because one is your home region. You should be able to be on top of the issues. There are a lot of complex issues in this country. You have Mampusi Kusasi to deal with. If you're unable to deal with this simple internal matters, how can you assure me that given the opportunity you can solve the problem between Mampusis and Kusasis? The Gonjas and Mampusis, Alavanyo, there are issues there. You come to my own downtown, a lot of issues. These are real issues. Not to talk about a sister and someone in your office that you cannot persuade one of them to step down for the other to go. That's unfortunate. The second thing is that
would be interference in the election.
Which is in politics, we do a lot of behind the scenes negotiations and lobbying. He knows it. Behind the scenes, you lobby for one to step down.
I see.
Again, why you must be worried?
You think the vice president should have lobbied for one to step down?
He did.
Before the violence?
He did, but they believe that he is on his way out of office. You cannot lobby me to go out and be unemployed.
How do you know that? How do you know he did and he wasn't listened to? How do you know that?
But it is so clear. Have you listened? You read the statement coming from the party. The party is so unhappy that you have 2 days to filing of nominations. You don't have a candidate. What serious political party will put itself in such a situation? But my concern is that is where I want Ghanaians, because my candidate, Alan, is very serious about this election. You have the vice president who is the chair of the police council. There were 100 and over police personnel at the polling station, yet they could not deal with the matter. Is it a case that the vice president has mismanaged the Ghana Police Service to the extent that they are unable to deal with such simple matters? We'll
have Fad, respond to that question you have just asked. But let's take the conversation to our phone lines now. Richard Kumado is a security consultant. Let's analyze this from a security perspective. Richard, thank you so much for joining us here on Big Issue here on New Day. Let's start off with the Walewale incident and how events have turned out post the rerun in that constituency. What are your readings into this as a security analyst? Gentlemen, you'd have to keep quiet for me.
I think considering the fact that outcomes of elections in West Africa in particular has become a national security threat, which has led to military takeover and coup d'etat in some extent, we needed to tread cautiously when it comes to elections in Ghana, because we are the only country everybody is watching as a beacon of democracy. There's a history to the Walewale issue. If you remember, this is the second time this particular election is being held. And I wasn't so pleased with the outcome of the activities that came out of the results of the elections. And it's an indictment on Dampari, who I have not seen for a very long time now. Why am I saying so? We were with Dampari at Komewu. When we finished, the two political parties were clapping for him. We went to Asim North with Dampari. The two political parties did not have issue with him. Then there was a Jisu, and Dampari did not have an issue. For some time now, I'm not seeing Dampari in the public space. I don't know whether after he has been given the deputy, he will last a little bit. But knowing how high the stakes are in this particular election, people are then going to say Dampari did not perform. And I want to see Dampari performing few days to the general election where the stakes are high. So in terms of the security breaches, in terms of the issues leading to the violence and what we have seen, I think it doesn't look good for the police administration, particularly when they were physically and seriously presented at the scene.
Richard, let's look at some of the shortcomings in the lead up to the rerun, especially. What do you see?
No, you see, in every election is unique in nature. And our elections, national elections in particular, are run by what we call the CI. The CI is the statutory law that governs election. What it does is that it does three things. One, it defines the election procedure. And number two, it outlines the election processes. And number three, it provides remedies for grievances to be resolved. So here is the thing. Anytime the election procedure is circumvented and the processes are contravened, we are likely to face the kind of issue we face at Walewale. And that is the root cause of what has happened in Walewale. But I think that we've come a long way to be seeing some of these violence in our elections, and it's not something we should pride ourselves about. What I want to suggest is that Dampare must go back to the drawing board and ensure that he's out for the task in December, because all eyes are on him and people will hold him accountable should any of these things go wrong, particularly when we have not been able to solve Iowa to West Wagon, which has become a dent on the Ghana police service. Immediately,
we know that the incumbent member of parliament has withdrawn from the race, hoping that it will bring some peace and finality to the issue in Walewale at the moment. Can the police relax because, you know, a candidate has pulled out?
No, there are two things involved here. The nature of our politics in Ghana is such that people do not really forgive. And considering the fact that the affirmative action there has been on the drawing board for years and it has just been passed, the women groups in Ghana will not take it kindly with the vice president, particularly when his boy is involved. And people will see that this is masculinity against women. And the women groups within those areas, particularly at the northern side where we have pockets of issues, differences, religion and politics is coming into the bin, it's going to be a security red flag that we need to watch, not just for the December elections, but to go beyond that. But I think that politically and nationally and leadership, the vice president's office and the office of the president will need to do a little bit more to water down whatever has been the grievances. Other than that, keep stepping down. It's not a panacea for peace to prevail. And foreign politics in this country from 1992, I can tell you that political security risk assessment has been some of the things that has thrown out many of the underlying grievances we have, for which we have not been able to resolve. And the Peace Council is looking at somebody who cannot face elections or election-related grievances in this country.
Very well, Richard. We'll leave it here. Hopefully, Dampare and his people will go back to the drawing board. There are many who have said this is only a tip of the iceberg, like Solomon alluded to over here. Thank you so much. Richard Kumado is a security consultant. Let's come back to the studio. Still with me here are Fad Usman, King Fad Usman. He's to my immediate right. He's a member of the NPP's National Communications team. Right opposite me is Solomon Owusu, who is also Senior Comms member for Movement for Change. And then Edem Agbana is presidential. He is, perhaps it is the future. I have just spoken into your future, but he's NDC
in my church, youth ministry.
He's afraid. He's afraid.
I want to be MP.
Just like how they did.
Yes, he's the NDC. He's the NDC.
Just like they did to hide.
Oh, but I mean, no, hang on, let's not go there. But he's got years ahead of him to make that possible.
What's wrong in having dreams?
But I'm not done talking.
ARS Youth Ministry.
Eric, let me introduce you. Eric Edem Agbana is NDC parliamentary candidate for Ketu North, and he hopes to succeed. Dr. James Kluche Aveji, indeed.
Fantastic man.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But let's come back to the conversation. The security analyst says that, and Fad, I think Solomon has made a point. Adam, you've come in already, so let me take it to Fad. He's made the point that, look, even if the candidate has pulled out, you don't think this is over. Is the party going to take any steps beyond deciding who would be candidates in the meeting today?
I don't know what to happen at the meeting, but then from what we are hearing, certainly there will be some reconciliation. It's not going to be just like a decision being made and allow this person to run. So I think it's something we should allow the party to do. And we all know that this is the home of our candidate, of the leader of our party. So we'll do everything to salvage the situation at hand. We'll do everything in our power to salvage the challenges that we face currently within the Walewale constituency, because we have to win Walewale. It's a must.
But you knew that and you didn't work towards it. You knew that this is the, your candidate's hometown. You knew that there were, events that were leading up to violence in that area.
It was important we allowed the fair and democratic processes to take its course.
So your party, party folk in that area didn't listen to you. That's what you're telling us.
You see, as humans, as you cannot control everybody. If you listen to, as Adam indicated here, and I'm very happy he gave some genesis to the story. You see, at one breath, he tells us that Dr. Mahama was sacked from the office of the vice president.
3 months ago.
At one point, he says that. And at the other breath, he says that the incumbent MP is being pressured. You see, so I find it very difficult to find the grounds between these two statements. You see,
but I'm even wondering if he said both things. How are they connected? They are not connected in any way.
So meaning that the person involved, the office of the vice president, decided to stay away from this contest. It has taken this dimension. Unfortunately, we do condemn.
Father, I don't understand your rationalization.
Can you give me 30 seconds?
No, hang on. You can't give me 30 seconds.
You see, the most important thing is that the vice president's office, or the person of the vice president, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, has from the onset of this contest decided to stay neutral. And that's the very good thing. In as much as there have been some backlashes, some difficulties within the constituency, I think what is fair is that the person involved, that is the hometown of our leader, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, deciding to stay away from this contest is one thing we need to commend him for. And also allow the
we're going to have to move on to our next topic.
Meeting that happened today to also give some finality to the issues. Quickly, ask a question. When I was making the submission on, I just wanted to give this. No one beat us in unleashing violence. Mahama won MPP.
Did you read the story?
I see.
Please, this is not coming from me. This is not coming from me.
No, hang on, that's the headline you have just read.
Yes.
I wish you could read and give us the context of that.
They are there. So there are a lot of violence issues. I will go there. But
hang on.
For the sake of time.
And Adam, let me just make the point. That what you have just read, I've seen the story, it's just the headline. You haven't given us the context, so don't mislead my viewers.
I'm not misleading you.
No, hang on. It is a headline.
It's meant coming from John Mahama.
It is a headline.
And the headline is made out of
catchy.
Oh no.
It doesn't give us context.
Oh no, you're a journalist.
That's why I'm a journalist. That's what I'm telling you.
Out of the context, right?
So if the context is not associated, it will mislead my viewers, and I don't want that. So we'll strike that out.
Oh.
No,
well,
unless we don't have time to read the whole thing either. And then quickly, you make the point. Please don't touch on this headline.
Two things. Just two quick things. One, when you go to Walewale, everyone in Walewale, the local media, the constituents, were well aware that Dr. Bawumia preferred Hajia Lariba.
Which locals? The Walewale locals.
Oh, you see, allow me land.
What's from all this?
You see,
no, I'm the only one allowed to interject.
Right. So, Kemini. But for the woman to even lose, despite sharing, look, the amount of money the MP shared as compared to what Dr. Mahama gave.
Adam, did you get some of them?
We are all players in the industry. We know what happened. She allowed me land.
Please let him talk.
And the fact that she is the sister.
Exactly, that's what I'm asking.
She is the sister of the vice president, and she still lost. She'll tell you that even in his home constituency,
we don't know for sure if any candidate lost. Adam, no,
the first prime no, she lost the first time before she went to court. I'm not even talking about this one. It was not, the rerun was not declared. Okay. I'm talking about the primaries. Okay. The first primaries, the main primaries, the one organized in January.
Yeah.
She lost. Despite sharing more items. She lost despite a linkage to the vice president. And so let's not even go there.
So Adam, here's my question before you make the point.
Number two, I don't like number two about the violence issue.
No, before you go on to number two, how do you know that she shared huge sums of money?
Oh, but in every election.
No, Fad, no heckling.
Why? I'm sorry. But Walewale, we have NDC members there.
Okay.
We have delegates that usually after elections, they will say, this person gave this, that person gave this.
So you heard from delegates?
You can confirm. Yes.
Okay.
And as a serious party, determined to win the Walewale seat. Indeed, we had interest and we had intel on what was happening in the MPP. And so let's not even go there.
Let's wrap
issue
up
about violence. See, I don't like this attempt to do equalization. Because if you want to talk about violence, look, in the history of Ghana since '92, no presidential candidate has carried a violent tag more than Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who himself said, in your party that you want us to discuss, there was a situation where even a regional chairman or a relative of there was pouring of acid that even led to the death of somebody.
Very well.
But all these issues, so you don't even have to get into a conversation on violence.
Adam,
because your party
I'm also going to strike out something you said, because you haven't been able to provide proof for it. That's
but you are not aware.
I'm not aware. She shared huge sums of money and she still lost.
Oh, so that one is public knowledge.
No.
If you don't want me to say it on your set, no problem. But I'm saying that the people watching us from Walewale, and look, sometimes I'm urging you, the media, to go behind even the headlines and investigate.
No, when we see
on Sunday, those who were arrested,
we'll tell the story.
Those who were arrested, I can tell you on your set, and the IGP, the people in the police can take me on. I can tell you that as of this morning that I'm on your set, those arrested for the violence, and I have videos of the violent clashes and the shootings, the AK-47s and all the weapons.
What has happened to those who were arrested?
As we speak today, those who were arrested, they are no more in police custody.
But they will have to give them bail.
They are no more in police custody.
But because
there is no record of any of them being granted bail. They have been released.
I see.
No, you see,
I see.
And that is why we are telling the NPP, and we are telling Ghanaians that we in the NDC, we are ready for peace. We will not go and incite violence, but we will not sit aloof and watch you misbehave. When you bring it on, we will protect the ballot, we will protect the votes, and that is what we are interested in. So the police service must not be biased or partial in the discharge of their duties.
Well,
if in the face of all this that happened in Walewale, with all the video evidence, as we speak, none of the people you arrested in Walewale on Sunday is still in police custody.
Very well, Adam, we get the point. I mean, but Fad, there's no time, you can't react to that. Solomon, quickly.
So, clearly, between the NDC and the NPP, we are discussing violence. One is just like the Galamsey issue, where one is saying, we didn't leave you a brownish water. And violence, it means that Ghana has to move beyond this duopoly and then settle on an independent Ghana that will restore sanity into the system for every Ghanaian to have peace of mind. In terms of whether or not the vice president has failed, clearly it's an ample testimony that he was given a test case to deal with Walewale. He has failed woefully. And if I were him, he would quickly go back to the Electoral Commission and take back his form. Take back the forms.
No, let's
take back the forms.
So, but that's a profound advice.
Just like Asamoah Gyan has done. You see, it is.
I see you're fairly maximizing your point. So that's.
I mean, when you withdraw, it saves everyone. Then the MPP can reorganize themselves and come back. And then we can all move. After all, once an elephant, always an elephant. When it turns new patriotic party.
We'll have to move on to other topics, gentlemen. Bafad, you and your party, I know there are a lot of things that you need to react to. But you people too should stop pulling ballot papers. We saw that in Parliament as well, and then we are seeing that today. You like chewing it too much. Anyway, no. I'm not going. I mean, like Miracle said, we'll add laughing emojis to it. So I hope that it's on record that we've added laughing emojis to what I have just said. But let's move on to Galamsey.
Yes.
The other point is that while everybody is condemning, unethical small-scale mining, illegal mining in this country, your running mate then goes out to go and say you now give people champagne. The same champagne we are complaining about. You give them equipment to mine even further. Why?
Is that what he said?
I
I heard him saying excavators. I don't think he said champagnes.
About whether excavators or not.
You can correct that.
No, I disagree with you.
No, you said
hang on, let's take a listen. Let's take a listen quickly.
We will not shoot anyone. We will give everyone's excavator to them. You will be allowed to work on your concession. This will ensure that people in the town can fend for themselves. It is not true that Dr. Bahamia will collapse small-scale mining. What we are against is mining on water bodies. Everyone will get some work to do. Everyone will be able to provide for themselves.
Opia Benyabian, also be a day, also be a day, also be a coach of local church, a John Foreman's day,
So I mean, in this video he says excavators, but we know that he also mentioned Shamfang. No, not in this video.
Okay.
And
I have not seen that video.
No, but so here's the point I'm making. Whether Shamfang or excavators, it seems very insensitive for your candidate to stand there and make promises to.
I just wanted us to establish the fact that he made mention of excavators, not Shamfang, but Shamfang itself is not accepted in any part of this country.
But your running mate didn't know that.
He never
in the
said
in the video we have played, because I know that in the story that we have done, he mentions Shamfang.
So you have those. You have the video.
I would have my producers look for it, but I won't take it back once we have reported on it. So you explain to me why your candidate at this very time that everybody is speaking against unethical mining and illegal mining, he's standing on a platform and encouraging it.
I believe what you've shown so far and what I heard, nowhere in his statement did he say we are going to encourage galamsey. Nowhere. Let's establish the fact. He said they are going to give people back the excavators to go back and mine. You see, we do admit that the issue of galamsey had become a national issue. We are all speaking. There have been a lot of concerns from organizations and union groups and all those matters in these discussions. It's a fight we have to acknowledge that from the efforts we put up when we took over in 2017, and looking at the challenges we were confronted with, and looking at previous efforts by previous governments, if you look at the results so far, it has not been that much successful. So sometimes you need to look beyond the solutions you've already implemented to see how best you can look out for other sustainable ways of dealing with the problem. But it's a problem if we want to say that let's ban mining and in its entire form. That one is a different discussion. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet, that we will start to make the calls that in this country, from now to, let's say, 2036, let's stop all forms of mining in this country. I don't think that's the discussion we're having. We are trying to see how best we can look out for the best ways of mining, that's sustainable mining, and also environmentally friendly mining. It's important that we also say this. Government efforts in the past, or let me even say this, some of the causes of these illegal activities, yes, have been attributed to economic challenges or economic factors, unemployment, and then also poverty in some areas. There are social factors too. And the one factor that has also come up is the institutional factors. That's the licensing regimes over the years. So it's one of the main reasons we are saying that if we get the opportunity to continue with the administration of this country, we are going to change the licensing regimes of mining activities in this country. As we speak, good enough, the current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, has decentralized the mining activities or the mining administration in this country to the regional level. As of last 2 months or so, one in Central Region, that's the Akemoda Mining Regional Office was commissioned. As we speak, next month, the Ashanti Regional one will be also commissioned. We are trying to decentralize all the operations of these bodies who regulate the mining activities to have a more robust monitoring mechanisms in dealing with the challenges. The challenges are there. We have to look at the best ways to have mining in this country.
For 7 years, you haven't been able to look at the best ways.
There were military actions within the past 7 years, and it has not yielded that much of results. There have been alternative livelihood programs. You see, in economics, if you want to look out for any alternative livelihood program, first thing is that what you are offering, economically, is it viable to replace what they were getting from the mining activities? If it is not viable, economically viable, definitely they'll go back to the mining activities again. So it is only fair we have a proper way of mining, licensing regimes, monitoring mechanisms to deal with the challenges at hand.
I see. So if despite the NPP's promise to the Ghanaian people, including the one that the president decided to wager his job and say if he's not able to deal with it, he would quit as president. I
don't mean he said he will quit as president. He said I'm putting my presidency.
Now, if you put your presidency on the line, what does it mean? Fad, please.
And he paid for it.
No, Fad, he hasn't paid for it. He got a second term because the Ghanaian people thought that something would. No, let me make my point so that I don't become an advocate this morning, right? The point I'm making is that if the NPP has been unable to deal with this and it's only got worse, how would you describe that?
You see, I've already made mention some of the actions being taken by this government.
Yeah, but it hasn't worked. You haven't been able to deal with it. It's got worse. Have you seen our water bodies?
To fight this canker, it's more of a collective responsibility. The media did very well in the first phase of the fight. You see, unfortunately, in 2020, we had people who matters well in the mining industry. Somebody like Dr. Tony Aban, the former chief executive of Minerals Commission.
Yeah, Tony Obin.
Tony Obin, going to mining areas, promising them, as 2020, that if the NDC win power in 2021, they will allow them to go back. So you look at something, collective effort. When something is collective effort...
No, Fad, you don't have a response for me, and that's okay.
No, I'm just making a quick submission on this issue. So if you are fighting a situation like this, at that level, and you have people who matters in the industry, going down there to make such promises, it becomes very difficult to fight it at that level.
Is it much more difficult than when
the presidency
in fact, please, is it much more difficult than when your own minister decides to do investigative work and hands it over to you, naming people within your own government that are allegedly involved in Galamsey and nothing happens? No, hang on, I'm not done. Is it much more than when you are told that so and so person from an investigative journalist, so and so person is taking money from people and giving them concessions to go and mine, allowing them to do things? Please, no, let's be honest. Adam, go on.
Oh, I thought you were well, okay, so let me say, I think that it's important for us to say that this government has lost the fight against illegal mining or Galamsey completely. And the outcome of that scam of a fight that they put up and added so much PR as the extent of pollution that we see in our rivers today. And that is why I am happy that right here at CV3 we can produce videos of some of the popular water bodies proud to their fight in 2017 and what it is looking like today. The result of the scam of a fight is the fact that as we speak, the Ghana Water Company is projecting that if illegal mining continues at this pace, by 2030, we will be importing water. It is a fact that even Occupy Ghana, a group we have known so closely aligned to the NPP in the past and now, is also out calling on government to take pragmatic steps to fight Galamsey. The truth is that Dr. Bawumia and Nana Addo Akufo-Addo have failed the fight against Galamsey. But why are we here? We are here because instead of fighting illegal mining, it became an avenue for top officials of the NPP and members of the government to loot. Are you aware that this government spent millions of dollars on a supposed drone system or mechanism to monitor and arrest illegal mining? Millions of dollars. What happened to those drones? How come you had the drones, you have the soldiers, and yet the distraction to the environment and illegal mining is at a heightened level never seen before in this country, if indeed you are investing in those things? Again, this government
and then we should be winding
seized equipments from Galamseyers and distributed them to their members, seized concessions and gave them to people within the party, people within the government.
The excavators they seized. We don't have evidence they shared it to their members.
Where are the excavators? Well, we're in this country.
That's a fair question, but to say they will share them to their members.
So I'm asking first, where are the excavators? And number two, away from even asking where the excavators are, in the inter-ministerial committee reports, their own committee that established by the president, there was a report set up to investigate illegal mining. And in that report, the reason why Professor Frimpong Boateng, I believe I got the name right,
yes,
was sacked, and he wrote a lengthy letter explaining why he was dismissed from government, is that members of government lacked the political will to fight Galamsey because they were the biggest beneficiaries. But we are proposing that, look, what is even more serious is the statement made by Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, the vice presidential candidate of the MPP, the man whose God sleeps at night.
Very well. Adam, that's your last one on it.
He said that it is not true that Dr. Bawumia will come and fight Galamsey. And when they come,
he said that
no,
in the video we saw.
That they will give the excavators to them, to small-scale miners. But we are proposing that illegal mining is bad. It is destroying the country. What can we do? In our manifesto, Resetting Ghana Manifesto, we are proposing that let us have regulations where you empower what we call community mining. So you have people forming groups in communities. You regulate the activity because it is not like none of the parties. We are not against mining.
You should learn.
All we are saying is that those who do it illegally, using chemicals that they are not supposed to use, they are destroying our water bodies and destroying the environment. So regulate them, put them into community mining, and support them to do legal, environmentally friendly, small-scale mining. And that is what the NDC is proposing. But as for the NPP, like Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, the man who's got
Adam, we'll have to move from you. In fact, I'll give you the last word on Galamsey, but let's move on to Solomon. Solomon, I see you have also, flipped your GTP.
Absolutely. I mean, that is what the country needs. The solutions are here. Alan, on page 77, I'm sure you have a GTP. You go through and you see that it solves the problems. What we are dealing with is purely lack of the political will to deal with it. If the president, together with people in authority, decide today, that we are no more interested in Galamsey, it will cease within the next week. Because Galamsey is not something that is done in secrecy. It's an open activity. Over the weekend, I went to Ayamfore, Dunkwa, and so on and so forth. And all the Galamsey sites that I saw, interestingly, 10 meters away from the Galamsey site, you will see a police barrier. So I was asking myself whether these barriers were put there for them to, as it were, supervise the Galamsey, or to make sure that daily sales are not compromised. Other than that, why would there be a Galamsey and police will be there looking unconcerned? And that is why Alan is saying that the laws of the land must work. Again, he's saying that we should not entrust all our mineral resources in the president. We must amend Article 257(6) to make chiefs or the traditional authorities co-trustees, so that it does not become only the president who has that authority.
Very well. I'm going to come back to you so you finish that point. Then I give the last word on this Galamsey topic. But let's move on to the phone lines. Bismarck Owusu-Norte is Executive Director for Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. We all know that this is impacting our ability to have healthy food in this country, and then also to be able to grow the food in the first place. Let's talk to Bismarck at this moment. Bismarck, good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us here on Big Issues on New Day. You have also released a statement very concerned about the Galamsey menace in this country. Talk to us about why it's so important to you as peasant farmers. It would appear Bismarck is no longer on the phone lines. But so, Solomon, you have the time. You finish the point and then we can wrap up.
When we make the chiefs co-trustees, it will help. When we decide to enforce the laws.
The same chiefs we've been complaining about that are part of the problem.
I don't see why anybody should complain about chiefs, because they don't have the authority. I mean, we have the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces being the president. If someone is perpetrating an illegality, you have every right to arrest that chief. You understand? I mean, does it not surprise you?
Indeed. I'm going to go back to the phone lines now. Bismarck, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Very well. I want to hear from you how impacted you are by the menace of Galamsey in this country.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, as we highlighted in our first release, the issue of Galamsey is having a very devastating effect on our production of farming. I spoke about the fact that, one, we are losing our farmlands in the activities of these Galamseys. So there are a lot of instances where they come to these farms, they attempt to buy some of the farms from the farmers. Where the farmers refuse, they find other means to take over the farms from the farmers. So gradually, we've lost a lot of farms, and the latest report I saw indicated that we've lost close to over 1.2 million hectares of land to these galamsees. The second part is that apart from the farmland that we have lost, we are also losing the water bodies that we use for our farming activities. So, a lot of our farmers rely on the water bodies that flows across their farms. There are instances to where there are some irrigation sites where we rely on those water bodies. As I'm talking to you now, a lot of these sites have been polluted with chemicals, and the waters are very turbid that the farmers cannot use. The third point is that we have also lost a lot of our youth. Normally, we would have been able to get access to youth to either help in the farm that provide labor or even take over the farming from our aging farmers. It got to a point that we were thinking that we were losing the youth to free education because we were in school. Apparently, that is not the case. All the youth are moving to the guaranteed areas to go and look for quick money at the expense of other things, including farming. So, based on all these three, and I recently heard that in addition to that, because of the destruction of our forest, it has affected the climate, and that's one of the reasons why currently we have been having some very unpredictable rainfall. So all these factors are contributing to having us have very low production, and that's the danger that we are talking about. Because if nothing drastic is done, then I'm afraid in the next few years we will gradually lose all our farmlands. All the water bodies will be destroyed. The youth will not be interested in farming, and the effect is that we cannot produce enough to feed ourselves.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, Bismarck. Already our cocoa farmers are complaining about yield and the quality of the soil. But thank you so much. Bismarck Owusu-Norte is Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. In fact, this one came from our viewer, Stephen Peng-Inwa, who says that, are you aware that the Vice President was in Walewale on Sunday to meet both candidates but failed to resolve the problem, and he wants to preside over Ghana? What he adds, I cannot add, but that is the comment coming from somebody in Wa, to deal with the issue. Fad, I promised that you would have the last word on Galamsey.
Okay. Let me land.
We don't have time, so but because the problem is that.
Alan is filing his
I was going to say that for you, but you hang on. Let Fad make the point, and then we'll say that. Fad, you have 30 seconds, please. Make your point on Galamsey. It's not like you go on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. You see, as I indicated earlier on, and I think my brother Dem also had made that same position, that we are not saying that they shouldn't mind, or we should understand that there should be a regime or a licensing processes or a licensing regime that will have to fish out all these illegal miners.
Right.
So it is important that if we are not saying let's put a ban on mining activities entirely,
very well,
then we should have to see how best we can ensure sustainable mining and mining that will not distract our environment.
My producers say 30 seconds is up. But things to look out for today: Alan Kojo Tremantin will be filing his nomination at the Electoral Commission today. We'll bring you updates here on TV3. We also know that the NPP's National Executive Committee will be meeting over the Walewale issue this morning. We'll bring you updates as well. Edem, when is the demo?
Well, on the 17th, all of us in the NDC will demonstrate in the various Electoral Commission offices across the regions. We believe that there must be an audit, a proper audit of the register. Indeed. Because what the Electoral Commission is doing currently is very dangerous to our democracy.
Edem, that's all we have time for.
But
Edem Agbana is NDC parliamentary candidate for Ketu North. Solomon Owusu is senior comms member for Movement for Change, and Kimfad Osman is member for the NPP National Communication Team. Gentlemen, I'm so grateful for your time. I know that we've not had a lot of time to digest a lot of the issues. We'll do that another time, maybe not with me. I'm Kemeni Amano. Bye-bye.
Prophecy time.
Abraham and Sarah, you twins. Go and buy jackets. You are going to Canada. Hallelujah. The best board. Master, it checks. Or yes, I will count. Oh, I'm just for bills. Bills micro credit. This way.
Bills Michael Crip.
From Ombebwa. Ati. Kwanako from. Next.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposit. All you need is your Ghana card. Bills, financing your needs.
Hello, Bills.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, a tranquil oasis in the serene surroundings of Aye Mensa Danfa. Discover Sand Bay, our 3-bedroom homes that redefine comfort and affordability, along with cozy 2-bedroom options